Hey, what's going on, everybody? This little mini lecture is about habitats and niches. Niches. I like saying niches. It's a little whatever. What do you want to say, niche or niche?
Niche.
Niche. Okay, we'll say niche. Okay. So just a couple quick things. Habitat is where an organism lives, right? So the habitat for squirrels are my backyard right now, eating all my bird seed, which is crazy. Habitats for moose or caribou are usually going to be in a more of a coniferous forest, a taiga, northern, Vermont or New Hampshire, Canada. So a niche is kind of like where a habitat is where an organism lives. An organism's niche is a little bit more complex. That it involves the habitat, but it also involves all interaction that organism has. So when you think about a niche, you got to think about what are all the resources that organism needs to consume. Habitat being one of them, but food, water, right, sunlight, possibly for a plant or a tree, but also what other organisms rely on that. So if it's a squirrel, maybe part of its niche is that hawks try to eat squirrels, right? So the niche is really the encompassing all interactions, all of the organism's role in its environment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With this though, organisms usually have some flexibility, right? And kind of one theme in biology is variation is good. So the more variation organisms have, right, the more they can withstand changes in the environment. So organisms tend to have this range of tolerance, right? This ability to kind of shift its environmental range depending on competition, really. Right? If there's too much competition in one aspect of its niche in terms of one food source, maybe that organism isn't the best competitor, so it shifts to a slightly different food source. So that's like the range of tolerance, or it has to change its habitat slightly. Okay. So with a niche, which is what we just talked about, so it's the role an organism plays in its community, right? It's a place in the food web, right? It's the range of temperature organisms need to survive, right, which is its climate. We just talked about that last lesson. Resources available, so the type of food the organism eats, how it obtains that food, right? Could be a carnivore, could be an herbivore, could be an omnivore. What are you?
Scavenger. It could be a scavenger.
You're a scavenger?
No, it could be.
Oh, they are scavengers. Yeah. I thought you were saying you were a scavenger. Well, you do eat my food all the time. But in any case, so all these different how it obtains food, but also again, plants are organisms too. So therefore, are you photosynthetic, right? Do you grow fast? Do you need a lot of sunlight, little sunlight? That's all part of niches as well. You got to think about plants and animals. Flora, plants, fauna, animals. Did you know that? No? Okay, new words. Whether what's eating you in the area, so predators, the physical conditions required to survive, that just means how much water you need, how much sunlight you need, how much movement you need, and then when and how the organism reproduces. So when you talk about niche, sometimes people confuse niche and habitat. Habitat's just where it lives. The niche is all of this. The niche is very, very complex. Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's this principle called the competitive exclusion principle. Have you heard of the competitive exclusion principle before? No? Okay. So what it is two species cannot occupy the exact same niche in the same habitat. Okay. So what that means is if I have two different species of birds, they can't occupy the exact same niche because if they try to, what are they going to do with each other?
Fight.
Yeah, what do you do with your brother all the time?
Fight.
Right, you fight, you compete, right? So you compete for those resources. And if they compete, there's going to be a winner and a loser. So with that, you really can't have two organisms occupy the same niche. Now, it might look like they're occupying the same niche, but niches are very complex, like we just said. So in this little diagram here, you might have this one spruce tree with three different types of birds: the Cape May warbler, the bay-breasted warbler, and the yellow-rumped warbler. Just three different types of birds. I think we might have this one in the back. Yeah, but this one might be in our backyard. I think I've seen that one before, but I don't know. But in any case, so when you look at this tree initially, you might think, oh, they're all occupying the same habitat. Maybe they're all eating insects. Who knows, right? It might look like they're kind of occupying the same niche, but niches can be very specific. So maybe one of these focuses on insects and focuses on nesting higher up in that tree level. Another one might kind of maybe feed off of nuts and berries. Maybe it doesn't even eat insects, right? And its nesting area is in a middle level. And maybe the other one kind of eats more ground food, so it nests down lower. So although it looks like they're all occupying the same tree, niches become very specific, and they're not really occupying the exact same niche. What you can have is you can have a lot of overlap in niches, right? So niches can overlap with organisms, but they just can't completely match up because they're going to compete, and there's going to be a winner and a loser. Good. Right. So again, on the same concept, right? These birds might look like they're all occupying the same tree, the same niche, but are they? No, they're all kind of crossing over each other. They're feeding maybe different times, right? They're feeding in different areas. Maybe they're eating slightly different variations of food, right? So forth. So, even eating the same food at different times of day, that could be a change of niche as well. So. Okay, so that was our quick presentation for today. The next presentation you'll see is on interactions between organisms, symbiotic relationships. You ever heard of symbiotic relationships? No? Okay, so we'll talk about that next. Actually, we might get your brother for that one. Okay. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you. Say bye.
Bye.